You are now tuning into Embracing My Markings with your girl, Maribel Kings, where we dive into topics of self-growth, pain, trauma healing, and generational curses through many individuals sharing their life experiences in hopes to empower others through their experience sharing. Always stay connected through embracingmymarkings. All right, so welcome back, Bayas. Hi, Twinsy.
Hi, Twinsy.
Are you feeling better?
How are you? Yeah, I'm feeling better. How are you?
Good. I'm tired. I was about to take a nap, girl. And then I realized
I'm glad you did it.
We have a special date today.
We have a very special date today. We have 2 dates.
Yes, we're double dating.
It's a foursome.
Oh,
we're
double dating, yeah.
Yes. And throw a little bit of Jesus juice in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Jesus juice. We all got it. Look at here we go.
I don't have a glass, but today
hold on, we got a cheers. We need a cheers.
Oh yes, let's do it.
Cheers
to you, ladies.
Cheers.
So today we have Rosa and Cynthia. Hi, ladies.
Hi, ladies.
Nice to be here.
Hello.
Yay!
We're trying to use the sounds a little bit more.
Okay.
Even when we're recording. God, I'm just so happy to meet both of you. I know, Cynthia, we had already gone to dinner, so we met. But Rosa, hello, gorgeous.
Hey, hello, how are you?
Good.
Happy to be here.
Yes, I'm so glad you guys can join us. I'm so excited to do this. We've gotten some questions. I won't say like a lot of questions, not like everybody's asking me that, but a lot of people have reached out and really want to know where you guys are at today. And then we want to talk a little bit more about domestic violence, and, the factors that really play a role after hearing your guys' story and just learning what you guys went through to understand really what was going behind, in your hearts and your minds, what makes up all that. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. Twinsy, step in whenever you want.
I will. Sorry. I will step in. I just thought Chico was about to fall, so I was like.
And everybody met Chico in the last episode.
Yeah. He's like tiny.
Yes. So we're going to start off with Cynthia first. So hello, Miss Cynthia.
Hi.
¿Cómo estás?
I'm really excited to be here.
Hi.
I'm very good. Thank you. I was really looking forward to today. I just, kind of nervous how I always say that I feel like I stutter too much and I speak too fast and, whatever. But here I am. I'm ready.
Leave that up to me, girl. Yo soy la stutter. I feel sometimes I have some type of, deficiency mentally. But
no, it's not or something. Even though I'm just talking. But anyways.
Yeah, but so for Miss Cynthia, the most common question, and I know the answer to this, and Sylvia knows the answer to this, but many people either, I don't know, they haven't followed you, I don't know what happened, but they're like, has she gotten her boys back? And I'm like, I will let her answer that.
Yes. Unfortunately, I haven't. I did see them when I went to trial on October 28th. I had to go to Arizona, super last minute. And unfortunately, he took them when he shouldn't have. And I saw them there. They completely ignored me. They acted as if I wasn't even there. I tried to say happy birthday to my son, my oldest son, because his birthday was the day before, the day of the court. And I tried to say I love you to them, and they would just put their head, like their little earbuds back on, and they were just not paying attention to me at all. So I tried to give my daughter's dad something that she had made out for him a few times, whether it was Father's Day or whatever. And he refused it. He didn't want it. Unfortunately, he feels like he's a lost cause. And still fighting with this whole thing of trial back and forth. Now we're having to go to a high conflict resolution class. Hoping not to have to go to Arizona for that, but I may have to beginning of March. Just because we can't seem to get along. I mean, I put out there at court that I'm willing to work with him. I'm willing to talk to him through a parenting app, through email, text messages, anything that's just written, because I don't want any false accusations. But no, I mean, I haven't heard from them. Not, it's another Christmas without them, another New Year's without them. It hurts. There's times that I break down. I mean, when was it? A couple of days before New Year's, before Christmas Eve, I was like wrapping presents, and I guess I try to keep myself busy all the time, like crazy busy, just so that I'm not at home focused on the fact that, just reality that I don't have them yet. And it was that time where I was just sitting on the floor and I was wrapping up a present, and I started crying like crazy. I got like a panic attack. I couldn't control my breathing, and I got super scared. I ran out of the room, and I had to have like my cousin, my mom help me out. They gave me some water, and until I calmed down, I started throwing up from just everything. It like finally hit where I was just sitting there. So, yeah, unfortunately I don't, it was a long answer, but unfortunately, no, I have not seen them. And,
but you answer another question. Well, at least for me, this is coming from me. And I think Twinsie would kind of agree. We both ask ourselves, how do you do it? Because your faith, first of all, your faith in God is amazing.
It sure is.
And I feel like you're such an example, because we do see that you try so hard to keep yourself busy. And we're like, man, I wouldn't be able to function. I wouldn't even be able to get up in the mornings, and I know you have custody at least of your daughter, but it would just be so hard for me personally. So seeing you being so strong, girl, I admire you. To me, in my eyes, you're Superwoman.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it really is hard.
I don't understand how he can pretend he doesn't even have a daughter. Like, that's what just doesn't get through my head. Like, yeah. I don't understand. And how brainwashed does he have his kids for him to even take them to court? Obviously, that was to hurt you and them, because at the end of the day, I'll tell you guys all about that, why I laugh. But at the end of the day, like, he ended up hurting everybody all around you, the kids, your daughter, even though she wasn't there. It's like, come on. Like, I think
that the judge got upset about that, though. She did point that out. Like, why are they here? They shouldn't have been here.
Good.
Yeah. That does not go unrecognized. They see through it all. They see exactly how he's using them as a tool to just
exactly.
Why were they even in there, like in the court? If they would have gone, it's okay.
They probably could have gone in the courtrum. They probably
they weren't allowed in the courtroom.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
but just being in the waiting room, out, they were there, and it was this horrible feeling. Like, my stomach was just hurting, and I couldn't control my crying. It was just, I needed to let it out.
How could you, girl? You're human.
Yeah, like, you're a mother.
And I was just going to say, like, you're asking, like, you don't know how she does it, right? I think until you're in that position or you're in that situation, like, you'll never be able to really relate the feeling. But as a mother, like, you do what you need to do to get by every single day. And like she said, she keeps herself busy. And I mean, I see her, she's over there boxing and doing all this stuff. And it's so cool. Like, yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. But I think for her, I feel like she's trying to do what's good for her. So when the time is right, when it's time for her to reunite with her boys, that she's in a good spot, in a good space mentally, So, and you know what, girl, I'm going to tell you, those kids, how old are they?
17 and 13.
Okay, when they get older, when they're out of his control and they're adults, they'll realize exactly what the situation is. I think right now they're just under his control.
Yeah.
They can't really speak for themselves.
I know. Unfortunately, that's what I've had to learn. Like, just just let it be as it is, and they'll learn on their own.
Yeah.
I'm hoping sooner than later, but all I can do right now is pray to God, and just hope for the best, and that, hopefully it's sooner than later. I mean, there's not much to it.
It's very admirable what you're doing, Cynthia, and I think you're such an example. I know maybe you don't feel it most days, and maybe right now you're even like, oh God, you don't know. But those moments that you break down, that's you being real. That's you feeling. That's you being a human being. Like, who wouldn't break down in those circumstances?
There'll be a problem.
Yes.
I know, yeah. Then it's like, it doesn't matter. But no, they're my world.
And your daughter, to see your daughter's watching everything you do. So the fact that she's seeing her mama pushing forward and fighting for what's right, and, she's going to see that too. And
then she's a little boxer too. I love it.
Yeah, she's a little tough machine, but she has her moments too. She's done so much better after therapy. She did, a lot of therapy. She's paused for now just because we weren't sure if we were going to be having Zoom calls with the kids and stuff. But even just staying super busy herself. She just finished she finished dancing. She's going to start singing for the church pretty soon. And she's still going to keep boxing, and just to kind of, stay active, and keep her busy. But there's her moments where she wants to cry too. And she'll tell me like, Mommy, I miss him so much. And we start crying together. I'm like, we got this. Let's do this together, and I'm like, it's okay to cry. Let it out all you want. It's okay. But she has done a lot better. She went from like 3-4 days out of the week of crying when we first got here a little over a year ago to like maybe once, twice a month that she'll cry, and I have my moment with her. But
were you able to hear Rosa's story?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any words to tell Rosa? Or
I'm at the point, kind of like those little things that I always post, like, some people may have it worse than you, but your story is still valid. I honestly do feel like her story is like so much worse than me. I was like, I started crying. I was like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, and I thought I had it bad, but and I did. I did have it bad.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh.
All of the stories are valid. All of your stories are valid.
And they're all bad in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you made it out, and I'm so happy for you that you've redone your life, and you're in another relationship, something I'll end up being with in the future, But right now I'm happy like this. I'm super happy, just, being me and figuring myself out, honestly, because just enjoying life after 18 years of feeling like
that's a long time. From being so young, like you never really had the opportunity to really find yourself.
Exactly.
You were who he told you to be,
Yeah.
And so now that you broke free from that,
I'm like, who am I?
Finding yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's very inspiring, That's good.
Yeah.
And you're so young, and the fact that you are so like mature, thankfully it's like a blessing in disguise. I feel like whenever we go through something very traumatic, very hurtful, we tend to grow like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we tend to learn and value ourselves more.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way we got to look at it. You live, you learn, you keep moving forward. And I can't give up on my daughter, And even if I didn't have her, yes, I got to the point where I didn't want to be here anymore. But you come to learn that you have to do this for yourself as well. You got to love yourself for who you are, and just you learn from everything that you've been through, and it makes you so much stronger mentally, physically, and that's all you can do.
You're amazing.
Wiser.
You're amazing. and Rosa, you're not too much behind, and I think hearing both of your guys' stories, they're very different but very similar at the same time.
Yeah.
But it only showed me that there's different type of domestic violence.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
It's not all cookie cutter. It doesn't all look the same, but at the end, it's the same.
Exactly. It is.
It's having that control and having them taking that control away from you as a woman. So I'm so grateful for both of you to have given us the opportunity to hear your stories and share it with us, because it really just shows the diversity that there is. And I think so many people were just so intrigued, you know, with Rosa. One of the questions that we got for your story, Rosa, was, you know, if your daughter has dated. And I think we kind of went over it there at the moment. And, you know, we're not here to tell her story, like that. But, you know, have you seen her go into like healthy relationships, and, you know,
That's
have you been there for her?
Yeah. See, so one thing I've always done with my daughter is use myself as an example of what not to do. I mean, even from like, you know, not being focused on career-wise, what you want to do. Like I've always preached to her, college, get yourself together first and then meet somebody and bring your lives together, you know? And so I've always used myself as an example for that. And because she was around during that time of my relationship, she definitely learned. So I, even afterward, like her and I are very open and transparent with each other. And I've talked to her about it. And she actually met somebody, and yes, he's a very, you know, nice guy, and he treats her very well. And so she's always told me, I'm so glad that I waited to find somebody that treats me well and not just jump into relationship after relationship. I mean, this is her first relationship and she's 19. So like, I mean,
awesome.
Yeah. And
she's taking her time. She's taking her time to actually, I love it.
And I mean, I look back at when I was like 15 years old, I'm like, damn, you're a saint. Like, I was like boy crazy and like, you know, like I want to be in a relationship, you know? And it just, she's always just been very like focused on herself. And now she's 19 and in a relationship, and he's, you know, he's a really polite and very well-mannered guy. And I'm super happy for her for that, you know, that she was wise enough to see like what I went through and not want that for herself.
That's amazing. And it only shows the transparency. I love that you highlighted that you have that transparency with her, that relationship of just being honest. You didn't try to hide it from her or trying to minimize what happened to you.
She fully knows everything, just the nitty gritty down to everything. And so like, for me, like, you know, my mom, which I didn't even know this until after I was going through the whole like domestic violence CPS thing. My mom was in a relationship with my dad and my sister's dad, and they were both like abusive relationships. And she never really talked to me about it. Like I kind of knew what was going on with my sister's dad because she left my dad when I was a baby. But with my sister's dad, there was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of fighting also in, you know, my grandmother's house between my uncles and my grandpa. So there was a lot of violence that went on. And so I normalized it. I was going to say it was normal to how relationships are supposed to be, you know. But I think if she were to be a little more transparent with me and talk to me about the things that she went through with my dad and how he was physically abusive to her, I think I probably would have made a little like better decisions in terms of what types of relationships to get myself in, and I'd be more aware of like red flags and things of that sort. But so I think this is why like I always try and do the complete opposite of what with my kids that my mom did with me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like she was a bad mother or anything. Like,
no.
Definitely like,
but you learned from her mistakes. You didn't know
back then.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Right. People are more aware now.
Yeah.
Of things. So
and it's I think it's very important for us not to shelter our kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, you also have to know when to do it. You know, because it's not like if she was 10, you're not gonna tell her like everything.
Yeah.
But you know, be appropriate with the age.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. So Thank you so much for highlighting that. And were you able to hear Cynthia's story?
Yes, I was. Yes. Yeah. We have a lot of similarities. Like yes. I messaged her and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we both ran 7-Elevens and just little things like just the whole gaslighting, just like how they make you feel like you're less of a person, like they're superior to you, you know, and like what your opinion is or what you say doesn't matter and you're crazy and like, you know, and that's one of the reasons why we stay is because, you know, you stay in a relationship for so long and they tell you like you're a stupid hoe and nobody loves you. Like this person talks shit about you. You don't have any friends. You stay in that long enough, you start to believe it. And that's the whole gaslighting thing is like, they make you feel like you're the crazy one. And then you start questioning, because if you live with somebody who's crazy, you're going to start going crazy.
Exactly.
For real. You are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah. Unfortunately. You know, and then you start kind of believing those things. And then you start, you know, he would tell me, oh, you got 2 kids from 2 different baby daddies and
nobody's going to want you.
And like, just stuff like that. And it's sad that you kind of start to believe those things, you know? And that's just because I didn't know my self-worth pretty much.
Yeah.
You know?
And that kind of leads into one of the questions. I don't know if this was somebody young or not. I don't really know their age. But they were like, well, is there any potential warning signs that we can look after when we start dating somebody? Like, how do we know? And I'm like, oh, that's kind of like a tough question because...
You can know the first date. I mean, you really can. You go to you go to a restaurant, you see how the gentleman talks to a lady. If he starts doing these gender roles or starts like, you know, is disrespectful to the waitress or whatever, then that's already a red flag because how he's treating her, that's who he truly is. You know what I mean? You just have to be really aware. When people show you who they are, believe them. You know,
right?
So like, don't rationalize and be like, oh, well, he said that, but that's not that big of a deal. Well, it definitely is a really big deal, you know.
Which is just covering up for the red flags.
Yeah,
right.
Like I know somebody who was dating somebody, and their dad, right? So the person she was dating, their dad would make comments to her about like being over at the house, like, what are you coming over here just to like fuck around with my son? And like trying to be in a very joking way, right? And so I would tell her, well, that's a red flag because if his father is acting that way, what is he gonna do? You know what I mean? Like
he raised them.
You know, yeah, exactly. And so it's just little things like that. Like there's how they treat people and the things they say to you.
Now I've heard, and you ladies can tell me if I'm wrong or not. When they're very charming and it seems too good to be true, and they want to move super fast in a relationship.
Love bombing you.
Yes.
Love bombing.
I think you did. I couldn't remember if it was Cynthia or Rosa that we talked about that in the episode. Love bombing. And I'm like, but what does that look like?
Telling you I love you within the first like month or two. Like you shouldn't know that you love somebody until like a long time.
You know nothing about them.
Yeah. I love you. Let's move in together. Just moving really, really fast. Let me meet your parents. Let me meet your children. Like, let me send you flowers all the time. Like, and that's just a way to get you reeled in, you know, like, oh, okay, I'm going to start looking and seeing like what their weaknesses are, you know? And then I feel like once they got you reeled in and you're all wrapped up in this whole like, oh, he's a charming guy and he loves me and he sends me flowers and he loves me already and let's move in together. Then that's when they like the true colors really, really start coming out, you know?
And even if you see bad in them while you guys are like dating and whatnot, you overlook those bad just because you're like, oh my gosh, but he really is super nice. And he's always telling me I'm beautiful. And I'm always, and especially for somebody who like us, that we've been in these abusive relationships and all we've gone through all our lives is just that we've been belittled. All of a sudden you meet this guy and oh my gosh, he's so charming, so this, so that. It's like, no, I mean, the fact that, I mean, because we're older already, but imagine somebody a lot younger that doesn't know, doesn't realize any of that, doesn't study any of this. They're just, that's dangerous for them, you know? In our sense, well, yeah, on our first date, we're like studying the guy and we're just like,
we already know.
Like tells me a story and I'm like, oh, red flag. Oh, red flag.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, bye.
You know, was it hard for you ladies to start dating again, you know, after you came out of your relationships, like freshly out of the relationships? How long did it take you to kind of test the waters again?
Oof. Well, for me, I feel like because I was so off and on with him, like I felt like I was mentally checked out with him for like at least a good couple years, which is horrible to say, you know. And there was a period of time where
he was horrible though.
Yeah. And like there was about a good year where we did not really talk to each other in between that time. So like I felt like once I was done with him, like by that time I had already gained all my tools and knowledge that I needed and applied it. And so then I would say like I didn't get into like a really, really serious relationship until about 9 months after. Okay. You know? And I mean, it may seem quick, but I feel like that time, like I had been through so many bullshit relationships where I was like, you know, and I'm fully aware of what the red flags are and like
what to look out for.
And so now it's like, and then when I met my husband, I made sure that I built a foundation of friendship with him first, like, because we had talked on the phone and Skype for 2 months before we actually saw each other, before we were physical with each other, you know? So that's another thing too, is sex gets in the way of really knowing somebody.
Yeah. Yes.
My therapist, sorry, I don't
please talk about it. Like, you're hitting all the points. You're hitting the points, Rosa. Go.
I remember my therapist had said that, because I told her I had met somebody and we were talking for 2 months. And she's like, that's good that you are getting to know him, because a lot of times people meet physically, right? Like you meet somebody at the bar, you meet somebody at the grocery store, through friends, you meet somebody and right off the bat, you have sex with them. That intimacy has already gotten in the way of you getting to know that person for who they are. And so that already is like, you already fucked that relationship.
Because then they'll expect to have sex every single time, and it's like you are not going to get
only that. Like I feel like too, it's like you're more like you've already shared that intimate
part of you
with them, and you exchange energy when you have sex. You know what I mean? And so it's like you share that with them, and now it's like it clouds getting to know them for who they are. You know what I mean? So I always like try and tell like some of my friends, like, oh, you met somebody, don't have sex with them. Like get to freaking know them, you know, like get to really know.
I think it's very important. And I don't think there should be like a rule. Like I remember back a couple years back when Steve Harvey, I think Steve Harvey wrote like a book and he was like, oh, the 90-day rule. I don't really think that there should be like a rule, because like every woman is different and every relationship is different. But I don't think you can just jump into sex and expect to like click with that person and, know them and love them, because like you said, then you're giving them that part that's so special. And if you're giving away that energy to everybody that you're coming across, then what are you left with?
And you take their energy too, and you, So,
I was going to say something else, but my train of thought just completely went away. But I'll jump into the next question. Were you guys affected financially? I know both of you, in both of your situations, it was where you guys were the ones that were maintaining the household and these men were pretending to have jobs.
Love what she says, pretending.
because they were.
That's a good way of saying it.
I think my teenager works harder than what these guys were doing.
Yeah, for sure.
But
seriously,
how did that affect you guys and your decision on walking away maybe sooner?
That's where he would get me a lot, because yes, I was the main provider, but I was always left at zero. As much as I would try to save, I couldn't get any further than just, okay, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, so he'd get me with that, where it was like, well, what are you going to do? You have no money. And he knew
Were
it.
your finances together? Like, did you guys share like a bank account and things like that?
We didn't, no, but we were always left at zero, where I somehow come up with, I came up with this money, even the little savings that I would have, it was because I couldn't just let us starve, so I would just take out of my stash and there I go, saving the family once again, because we were at zero again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what would hold me back a lot too, just thinking that I couldn't do this on my own, especially the whole belittlement of all these years of like, I can't do it on my own. How am I going to do it? I have 3 kids, and all I'm going to do is just go have to find a rich man to support my ass, and
the funny thing is that you were already working by yourself. You were already doing it by yourself.
Supporting yourself.
Yeah,
you're already
exactly.
supporting your whole family.
Yeah,
but you're not thinking like that.
No,
at that moment, you're not thinking like that at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm already doing this. But no matter how much positive stuff I would try to put into my mind, be like, yes, you got this. Yes, it's just no. And then besides that, it was just, I didn't want to break up the family. It's like, I didn't believe in divorce. I just wanted to, the kids wanted us together, and that's what I wanted to give them, and I was afraid to lose them because I was already getting this negative feedback from the kids. Well, why do you want to leave? Just their dad obviously always telling them things. But up until this day, I'm still, hurting financially, because I'm still having to fix my credit. Any little money I get, it's like I'm having to pay cash for everything. I can't get credit cards. I can't get a car loan. I can't get a house. Nothing. If it wasn't for living with my parents, man, I again probably be living paycheck to paycheck in San Diego, California, because it's so expensive. But rushing it, because I would have ended up in a shelter, and then from the shelter to a place. But luckily, I'm able to work on my credit and whatnot, just because I'm living with my parents. But
that's amazing. And I think one of the most recurring questions is, why doesn't the person just leave? And I'm like, well, let's change that question a little bit. Why don't we ask, why do the abusers abuse?
Yeah. Why put it on us?
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
I think because we need to change that perspective.
Yeah, because the answer for why you don't leave is you don't want to break a family. You want to keep the family together for your kids, for you,
it's not selfish at all.
Exactly.
It's for everybody else.
It's for everybody else.
Yeah,
exactly. And you know what? One thing that my mom would always tell me when I was getting ready to leave my son's dad, she kept telling me, why are you going to leave him? He's your son's dad. I stayed with your dad 25 years. I'm like, were you happy those 25 years? Like, she's like, no, we ended up separating. And I'm like, exactly. So why would you want me to elongate that?
Yeah.
What about you, Rosa? Were you financially hurt?
I think
with this?
No, for me, I feel like finances was never really a reason why I stayed. Because before I even met him, like, I had my own place. I carried my own weight. Like, you
already had a child.
Yeah, I had everything. And he was pretty much like bumming off of me. I was keeping his rent paid and food on his table. And so that was never like, oh, I can't leave, because if I don't leave, then I can't make it financially, because I knew I could. For me, it was more me coming from a broken household, coming from a failed marriage already prior, like years before, and not wanting to repeat that, and not wanting to have my son go through what I went through of not having my mom and my dad together.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really the main reasons why I stayed. You know, I was trying to make it work. I was trying to understand where he was coming from. Like, but some things are just not meant to understand.
And not just that, but if you're trying to change for yourself and for the relationship, the other person has to put in their work too. Yeah. It's not, you can't make it work for the both of you. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then another thing, I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Rosa, how long were you separated from, how long was your first divorce from when you met Robert? So people can get the gap of how.
I got divorced in 2006 and I met him in 2009. So it was three years.
3 years
later. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 3 years. And so, and even my marriage was, I look back at it and it was abusive.
I was going to ask that next.
Yeah.
You know, looking back now, do you feel like the first relationship was abusive as well and you just missed all those flags?
Oh, for sure. I mean, for him, I was like 22 and we got married and, you know, I got up and left and moved to Illinois and, you know, like it was just all him, you know. I mean, we knew which is really weird because we knew each other from junior high school. And, but I think just, I know him, you know, I know who he is. And really I didn't, because like, I felt like once we got married and we were away from everybody in the family, like the temper came out, oh, damn, okay, this is how you operate on your day-to-day basis. And then
so this is who you are.
It really showed his true colors once our daughter was born, because then his patience were thin. It was thinner. Like he didn't have the patience for the crying and her being sick. And so it was all like pushed on me, like you deal with it. Like, you know, get out of the room. You go sleep in the living room with her while she's sick and crying because I have to work in the morning type shit. Or
no.
Or, you know, there was a time where she had like 105 temperature and she had a blood virus. And like, I was in the emergency room with her at 5 o'clock in the morning and he wasn't there because he had to work the next morning. Just little things like that, you know, like,
I mean, as a human being, you would want to be there for your kid, no matter if you work the next day.
Well, here's the thing is like, I've never prevented any of my children from having relationships with their fathers. I've always been like, you know what? Because eventually you're going to grow up and you're going to see, you know, I'm not going to ever, you're not going to resent me. I'd be damned if I have you resent me because I told you don't have a relationship with your dad or I controlled the scenario, you know. But now my daughter, she's 19 and she does not want anything to do with her dad, you know.
And that's another thing because God, how hard is that to have to share your children with these men that you know suck?
I have a book. It's called Sharing Custody with a Jerk.
Oh, wow.
I really do. Yeah, I have it. And I recommend it. It basically says like you have to really treat everything as a business transaction with them. You can't put any emotion into it. And that's another thing is like the gray rock method. Have you heard of that, Cynthia? The gray rock method, like how to deal with a narcissist, you know, somebody who is like constantly like just really getting on you and just like, you know, because you can't win with a narcissist, right?
Never. Never.
It's just like this thing called the gray rock method where you just minimize contact with them. Like any communication with them, like you don't show any type of emotion. You just answer just very straight and to the point. And eventually they'll back off from you. And that's what I had to do with my son's father, the one that I was in the DV relationship with, because it was like constant fighting all the time. Like we could never agree on anything. I would be so worked up and like anxiety filled, where I couldn't even like operate. I couldn't even think about what I was saying because I was so upset and so angry. And this method like kind of helps you with how to deal with them. So if you're ever dealing with any narcissists,
this is
gray
good.
rock method. Yeah, look up the gray rock method, and it'll definitely show you and teach you like how to deal with them.
Whew,
Yeah.
I'm starting.
I need to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to
So do I.
believe that God gives, the hardest test to the strongest people, because let me tell you, I'm not strong. I would not.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
You are.
You have a mess.
Until you're posed
very
with a
strong.
situation, you're strong.
You
girl.
don't
Believe
realize
me.
how strong you are until you're put in a situation
Uh-huh.
like that, where
Yeah.
you're like, I have to do this. I have to.
Yeah.
It's
There's no other option.
You just yeah, exactly. There's no other option.
I
One day
admire
I'll
you
tell
guys
my
so
story.
much. I just admire you guys so much. But that definitely, hopefully gives a little bit of an insight. And like I said, instead of questioning the victim, why don't we start questioning the abuser? Why is the abuse happening? Why are they acting that way? Because I feel like and I even hate to call it victim, because I honestly feel like women that come above
They're
that,
not like,
you guys are so strong. You guys are really, really strong. So I hate.
We're survivors.
Yes.
Yeah. Seriously.
In my eyes, you guys are warriors. That's how I see it. You guys are warriors.
I back that up, Cynthia.
Thank you.
These two down here, at least for me, Twinsy and Cynthia, are in the bottom. And you guys are drinking at the same time. I'm like, okay, Rosa, we need to get in sync.
Sure.
Yes. But Twinsy, do you have any questions?
No. I mean, it's just overall very like inspiring. Both of you women are amazing. I know you know that. Very inspiring. I honestly don't know how. I mean, I can say I don't know, but I know. You know what I mean? Especially with Rosa, because I did see it. I did see some of it. And the thing is that now that when I listen back to our episode and she says, you were there for most of it. It's
You
true.
were.
I was.
I mean, because we worked at cardio when we met him.
Cardio. And I was
Yeah.
there when you guys like started dating. We went to a midnight viewing of.
Oh yeah, it was Twilight or something.
Yeah,
like,
Twilight.
goodness.
We were so Twilight.
Wow.
And do you know, like, I had to drag him with me because, like, he didn't want to go. But
He's like,
you saw how standoffish he was. He
So
was
that's
Yeah.
one other question that I got actually right now that you guys are talking about that before I forget. Even though I have it in my notes, but I have a whole bunch of notes that I wrote like just everywhere.
Everywhere.
As a friend or as a family member, what can they do to help? Is there anything that we can do while you're going through it?
Or what do you remember of somebody that helped you or told you something while you were going through it that you can say, wow, this really helped me when this person said this, or it really helped me when this, I mean.
Hi, Cynthia. You answered that.
Honestly, I was out of state. It was a lot harder for me because I didn't want to tell anybody what I was going through. But once it got to the point where I was so ready to get out, it was my mom telling me, don't stop going to therapy, because you stop and you think that you don't need it. You're having that same mentality that he is, that you don't need therapy, that you're crazy, that you're this, that you're that. Just stick with it. And I think if it wasn't for me sticking with it, I'd probably still be there. I'd probably still, trying to figure things out. I don't know.
Raising my hand.
Yeah.
Any man that says they don't need therapy needs therapy.
Needs therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any man that says, I don't want anybody to tell me what to do, I don't need therapy, they need therapy.
They need it. Mm-hmm. For sure.
I didn't really have anybody there to relate to me. Like, I think people who are going through it are looking for somebody that can relate to them. And it's very hard, especially because people stay silent about it, right? So I think it's hard to like go to family members and friends that have never been through it, have never experienced it, because like it's like you're talking to somebody that has no idea what you're feeling, has no idea what you're going through. And so I feel like even if you were to offer them advice, like they probably wouldn't really listen to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And plus love is blind, right? I mean, if you, that's what you want to call love, but at that time, like you're blind, like you're very like,
you don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear that you're wrong. You don't want to hear that what you're doing is bad for you or your kids or, and I think that's more of a denial thing too. You know, it's like I'm in denial that I'm going through this and that me of all people, I can't believe I'm going through this, you know? So I can, what I can say is like, if you feel that you're going through domestic violence relationship, maybe try a support group because you'll have people around you that are going through the same thing and you'll be able to relate. And then you'll be like, oh crap, like I'm not crazy, right? I'm not going insane. Like I'm not the only one that's going through this. And I think that's what makes people kind of wake up a little bit. You know,
I want to add to that. I want to say that sometimes you want to think that fuck, I just lost
too much wine.
It's the wine kicking in. To add to that, do you think maybe you not reaching out to that family member or, you know, to a friend to tell them, other than maybe feeling embarrassed to be in that situation because, you know, how the heck am I in this situation? Apart from that, are you guys afraid to hear like maybe judgment from them?
For sure.
Okay.
At least for me, I know for sure for me, like, I was scared of being judged for sure. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Were you like that, Cynthia?
I think in my sense, it wasn't so much judgment because I mean, since day one, they knew that they didn't, you know, that he wasn't the right one for me. Yeah. But it was just, for me, it was more like, you know what you need to do, Cynthia. We've spoken to you so many times and this is up to you at this point.
Yeah.
It's a life and death situation.
You're on your own. Like,
it's a life and death situation. You know right from wrong. You know you shouldn't be in that situation. You know you need to get away. But what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. You know you have all of our support here in San Diego because I was in Arizona. You know you have all of our support. Whenever you're ready to come. And I kept wanting to make it work. I was like, no, I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's a really hard situation.
But I feel like I think it's important too for the people that have never been through it, such as myself. I've never been through something like that, that I cannot be judgmental if somebody comes and tells me what they're going through. Because it is hard not to be like, well, what the heck are you thinking? Like, you're smarter than that. You're more beautiful than that. And I think
you deserve better.
Yes.
That's what you always say.
But I don't think that's the right thing to say. And I'm trying to learn to get away from that kind of response and just be there for them.
Yeah.
So I remember my thought. Okay. So your family's telling you like, oh, this person's bad for you. We told you, blah, blah, blah. I see it, blah, blah. Or in my case, like my mom would be like, oh, no, handle it. You can deal with it. And then that's when you think, well, I don't want to leave because he's sometimes nice to me. He says, I'm sorry. He buys me stuff, but he doesn't, you know, like when is that? Once in a blue moon that he does.
But why? But see, like, but that's material things. Like,
no, but not necessarily.
No,
what
I
I'm
feel
saying,
like I think what you're saying, Twinsy, is like you want to believe that they're gonna change.
Exactly. There,
you're with them.
They're the person that they were when you met them.
Yes,
right. Right. That's what I'm getting to. But the wine doesn't let me talk.
Yeah, you know what? I would say that's true because you know what? Okay, I'm gonna say right now, my ex was an extremely charming person. Like it was really weird because we would go to the grocery store and he'd be like chopping it up with the freaking the checker cashier person and laughing and like just very like personable and like he seemed very, very charming, right? So he was a completely different person to everybody else. But the minute we come home, it was like a different person, right? And so for me, and then that person who he was with all these other people is who he was in the beginning of our relationship, right? And so I think a lot of the times it was like, I just want that person. I want that person that I met in the beginning to come back. Like that's who I fell in love with. That's who I want in this relationship now. And so I think for me, it was like, it was hope, right? Hope. I'm hoping that he'll change. I'm hoping he'll go back to who he was. But he was that person in that whole, like, was it the cycle of abuse? You know, like the whole tension, honeymoon phase, he was that person. And then it just kind of went away. And like, it was a cycle. So,
and then you would see glimpses of it here and there with other people. And you're like, oh, he still has it. Yeah, it might come out with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always going to be there. They put out this image to everybody else, then, you know, but they're a total different person at home once, you know, they're comfortable with you. And in my sense, where it was like, if I was, because he met me like that outgoing, sparky person, but if I did something like that on the street with the cashier guy, oh my gosh, I was the biggest flirtatious whore in the world for doing that.
Any guy, like I could never mention a guy's name. Like literally, any guy name that slipped out of my mouth,
you slept with them.
You're messing around with them. Who is that? And then he would even come to like make up stories, like because you know our circle is kind of like the same circle, you know, and so like he knew people that I went to school with, and then he'd be like, oh, they told me you slept with him. And I was like, what are you even talking about? Like, whatever. But it was just him making up shit just to get a rise out of me, you know?
So to get you to stop talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wasn't even talking with him. He just freaking followed me on Facebook. Like, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like what? It was just so bizarre. I mean, it was just really bad. Like I couldn't even, and that's walking on eggshells, you know, like I couldn't just be free to talk and do things and say things and just talk.
You couldn't even say to the trash man, oh, here's the trash can.
Yeah.
Oh, you're sleeping with the trash man now?
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Now, and how do you guys feel with, you know, I don't know, because I just found this out only because my favorite YouTuber talks about it. She actually released a video today, Lovely T, shout out to her. And she has a podcast as well. And she's talking about this influencer. I have never heard of her before. Her name's Ari Fletcher. I don't know if you ladies have ever heard of her. And so she's an influencer, and apparently she has a big following, and she made some statements, I think in an interview that she just had recently, where she said that she wants, you know, that kind of love where if she threatens to walk away, the guy's willing to like take out the gun and shoot her for her not to leave. And so when attention was called, and people were like, hey, you're dead wrong for this because most young girls are following you. She went on to say that, you know, they're just mad. They're ugly. They don't understand, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, she was one of the ambassadors for Rihanna's Fenty, Savage Fenty, or Rihanna's line. And Rihanna ended up dropping her from her ambassador line.
Good.
Wow. Good.
Yes.
Thank you. You didn't know she went through that.
She went through it with Chris Brown. Yeah. Even though I'm a Chris Brown.
But that makes me upset. That really pisses me off.
Because what kind of message are you providing to the young girls that are following you?
You know what? I'm just going to chalk it up and be like, she's just a young girl that doesn't know anything.
Well, she's 26 and she's a mom.
Young. She's still young.
She's young. Yeah.
She hasn't experienced enough pain in order for her to even realize that, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
But young girls, please don't believe that. A man pulling out a gun on you does not mean love.
Oh, no.
The hell?
No.
That is pretty crazy. Like, I can't believe she said that. That makes me mad.
Yeah.
No.
Mad.
Yeah. And the fact that she came back and she still wasn't reading the room and was still trying to defend it and was just calling the people that were calling her out ugly. It's like...
Yeah.
read the room, homegirl.
She's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a red flag. For
Yes.
Sure. Men, stay away from her.
You know what? It's red flags are not just with men.
No.
It's women too.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. It's in friendship.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah.
It's with your family members. It's with
everybody.
It's with coworkers. It's with anybody.
What did I tell you last time with Twinsie? I told you relationships that you really care about, whether it's friendship, coworkers, any relationship, you gotta put work into it. Any ships, you gotta put your work into it if you want to keep it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it takes two.
Which, by the way, speaking of relationships, we all need to go to King and Queens, please.
You and your King and Queen.
I know. She loves there.
I have not been there. I have not been there in a while.
Don't lie.
Since Cynthia,
a month ago.
No, since Cynthia was my last date there.
You know what, Rosa? I say that we do set it up because I heard Cynthia took wine to Twinsie, all this stuff. I didn't get wine when I met Cynthia.
Hold on. That's your cue. You got to bring her wine.
Yes.
Yeah, she already pointed that out the last time we went out.
Yes. I'm just reminding her. I'm just reminding her.
When she wants the flowers and everything.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the flowers.
Wine and dine.
Flowers, please.
Well, Cynthia brought me this really nice flower bouquet. It was beautiful. Nice. Cynthia, I love you for that.
Oh, you're smart.
Okay, enough.
She's hating right now. She's hating.
Rosa, I'm going to take you flowers, Rosa.
Thank you. I'll bring you flowers too.
What about me? I've been your friend forever.
No, Cynthia already took you flowers and wine.
¿Y yo qué? ¿Qué me van a traer?
Yo te voy a llevar aceites. Así como la otra vez que te llené tu casa de aceites.
Hey, I need my avocado oil.
She looked like she was sponsored by Chosen. Like she literally posted it. She said, "It looks like I've been sponsored by Chosen."
I did, and I posted that. That's so funny on my story.
No, but oh man, now
I take care of all my friends. I'll get you next, Rosa. I'll get you oil.
I know, poor Rosa's like, hello.
It's avocado oil. It's the healthiest oil ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's better than olive oil.
Oh, I don't know.
I promise. It's good. I'm a picky eater. Aunque no se nota, but I'm a picky eater. Wow, ladies, you guys are just so inspiring. I love this. I truthfully do. Is there any message that you guys have for anybody that might be listening to us that is, going through it, or maybe seeing a friend going through it? Any last words?
It's at this point, just keep going. Just keep going. I mean, there's honestly you can have so many doors closed on you and everybody telling you can't do this, you can't do that. No, there's no possible. I mean, I'm still till today fighting with Fresh Start Clinic to clear out my criminal record. But I'm not going to give up. I'm not. So as much as because it can seem very overwhelming, you seem overwhelmed and you know that there's so much out there that you need to do. Don't give up. Just take it step by step. Write down everything you need to do to keep moving forward and move your family forward. And just kind of just go from there, just keep checking every little thing off. I didn't think I was going to become a domestic violence advocate. And here I am.
You're doing great.
Now I'm looking for even a part-time job when it comes to doing something like that. And just to kind of gain more experience and more knowledge so that I can be able to help out everybody that reaches out to me on Instagram and be able to help them out like that. Pretty soon I'm going to start putting out resources, at least for here in San Diego, for like the legal aid system and things like that, things that I didn't know that I needed to go crazy looking for to be able to get that help and then calling different places. But I mean, you got to start somewhere, and I'm like, well, at least putting it out there on Instagram, maybe it helps somebody, I don't know. We'll see.
Yes. You never know. You never know.
It'll reach somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got a certificate, right? You went through some training classes. I was so proud of you.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. that, Cynthia.
Yeah, when she posted that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, because I've always, like, after all of that, like, that was one of my goals, was to be a domestic violence advocate. And I looked into the classes, but it just never kind of really went anywhere. So when she posted it, I was like, oh, okay, I think this is my sign to, like, go and do it. So I'm going to sign up for the next.
Do it.
Do it.
I sent her information.
Yeah, because I feel like it's more common than what we think, or what's led to be out there is like, it's really common, you know. And you know, and then another thing too is part of me is like wanted to start some kind of like nonprofit organization where we would go and speak to teens, like in school, about how to look for the red flags. Because that's when you're dating. That's when your whole dating history or whatever like happens. Yeah, you know. It's like,
I think you and Cynthia should just.
You guys are powerhouses. Powerhouses.
Honestly, let's get together and go.
You're right, Rosa. I mean, even starting from the middle schools, I was 14 when I got with my ex. You know, so and that's usually when people who abusers they like to take advantage of younger girls, or
they want to learn how to manipulate them.
Exactly. And yes, he was only 3 years older than me, but he was bien vivido, you know, like he
knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah,
exactly. He knew what he was doing.
I think the fact that the times that we live in right now are very critical, because you can't maintain a household with just the father working. Like, I remember me growing up, I had my mom always home. But my mom never really talked to me about, you know, serious subjects. Like, I never even knew what domestic violence was. So when I saw my friend going through it in high school, and trust me, I was ignorant when I thought this, but I was just like, oh, she's a dumbass. That's all I thought. I had no idea what she was truly going through. And recently, you know, I try to reach out to her because we even lost touch because of her abusive relationship. And I apologized to her.
I remember you mentioning this.
Yes. And so I feel like it is important, you know, for young girls to be educated in that subject, like, for real. Yes. Yeah. What to look out for, how to be there for your friend, you know?
Yeah.
That's something for sure I'll be teaching my daughter once she gets to that age where I can be a little more open about everything that I've gone through, so that I can be able to teach her, you know. I mean, at this point, all you can do is, you know, teach them right from wrong. You know, like you said, you can't lock them up in a dungeon, you know, and not live life. You know, all you can do is teach them right from wrong, and show them, you know, what can happen, you know, and say, hey, remember when you were this age, what I went through, and this and that. Same when I get my boys back. All I can do is just, you know, teach them and show them. And even like I write to them every day, like if I was giving it to them, but writing it so that whenever I do see them, that's what I'm going to give them, and be like, look, this is what I went through emotionally, you know, mentally and physically. It's hard. But yeah, it's just, you got to keep moving forward, you know.
Amazing.
Honestly, you guys.
Sorry, just for me, I feel what I can say to those going through it is, I know you say like the whole, you deserve better, right? But I think for them, I think they need to really dig down deep into like what they really want, you know, what they really want, and the relationship that they're in. Is it providing it to them? You know, is it giving you what you want? Are you happy? Are you finding yourself crying all the time? Because really, like, that's not love. You know, love shouldn't hurt. Like, you shouldn't be crying. You shouldn't be walking on eggshells. Like, you shouldn't, you know how sometimes like you would be like, I don't want to go home because I don't know what's gonna happen, or I'm scared when they come home because I don't know what type of mood they're gonna be in. You know, if you find yourself in these scenarios or whatever, like, just really dig deep down inside of you and ask yourself, what is it that you want for yourself? What do you want for your life? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your children? And And if it's not providing that for you, then like Cynthia said, you need to do what you have to do and work up the courage to get up, find that self-worth and leave. Like you just
and make a move.
Easier said than done, definitely. And it might take time and it's going to take planning. Get yourself a plan together, you know, a safety plan, you know, like write down, like stash money away if you need to, stash money away, you know, stash a spare key away somewhere, give a spare key to, like to your car or somewhere to a family member,
somebody you trust.
So if something were to happen, then you know, like, this is the plan that I have, you know, you're not just like left making a decision to leave with nothing, you know.
I saw once, talking about that, I saw once Dateline story, or I don't know if it was 2020, one of those. And this woman was really, really smart because she didn't have no privacy at home. But she was the one that had to go and make the money. At work, she kept the diary. And at work, she
documented everything.
She documented everything. So when she went missing, they found the diary and come to find out her story, because she hadn't told a soul.
Yeah.
And they found the diary and they discovered, and she even had pictures in that diary. Like she would take pictures at work, you know, with like a Polaroid, and she would put it in there. And because she knew that eventually somebody would have to go and clean out her desk and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad. So she was like looking, that's what she saw in her future.
Yes.
Wow.
And so, but I mean, I hope, I'm only sharing this because I want you guys to know, like Rosa said, have a plan. It's not going to be easy. Nothing in this life is easy. Nothing. But you guys can do it. I have so much admiration for women all around the world. I mean, just women, and we are amazing creatures. That's all I have to say.
Are.
The fact that we can grow a human in our body.
Yeah.
The fact we can grow a human. Yeah.
We run the world.
And going back to what Rosa and Maribel were saying, I do have a post on my Instagram from November 20th, letting people know, like, call, have a hotline number or the number of a safe friend, relative in your phone. Plan, create a safe code word with a friend, relative, find a place to go. And
I saw that post.
Yeah, prepare, pack a bag with essentials and gather important documents. Just because, you never know. I mean, when you really need to just leave the house, then you got to leave the house, but at least you have everything prepared and you have at least that one person that you can rely on. I mean, thankfully I was able to, I ended up here in San Diego, you know, but being out in Arizona, I should have done something like that. But it's something, again, you live and you learn. And that's why I want to just kind of throw it out there for men and women that are going through any situation like this.
Yes, because men go through it too.
Men get domestic violence too. Yes.
Girls, if we
some women are crazy out there.
Oh, let me tell you.
Girl.
I mean, I lived it with my sister and her first husband. My sister's a sociopath. And so, like truthfully, she's diagnosed as a sociopath. And her first husband, till this day, I just asked my mom the other day, I'm like, is there a way that we can get a hold of him or anything? You know, she got him deported because he ended up cheating because she was a horrible wife. Like, it was just, my heart goes out to him, and I have 2 nephews because of him. And so we saw him go through a lot. I didn't know this. Yeah. You know, and me and my brothers even say he was more of a brother to us than my sister was ever a sister.
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder you have told me about your sister, but not fondly.
Yeah, because a lot of people think I'm joking when I'm like, "Oh, my sister's a sociopath," but no, my sister's a sociopath.
Yeah,
That's
not so
why we
bad. I'm
laugh.
sorry that I laughed. Like,
I'm sorry too.
people just say it, but
Yeah. No, but she's like clinically diagnosed. And so it happens too. And he went through a lot in his marriage, a lot.
Yeah.
And he ended up, once he got deported and obviously lost custody of his kids. And,
How long were they
because,
together?
up to when my nephew was 5. So, and the oldest was 9, I want to say. So maybe like 9 or 10 years.
See, and so he stayed that long with somebody, and so it's like it's not just us women staying just because it's men too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of being in a relationship is to make it work, so when you come across a hiccup, your natural instinct is to try and make it work. Not fun,
especially with kids involved.
Yeah, especially with children, it's like you want to provide the best household for them, but if you're not educated in it, then you tend to stay longer.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so
no, he really tried. He really, really tried. So when I say, again, that this is not just a women-led podcast, like I include my men too, because I have brothers. I'm a boy mom. Like, it's not taking anything away from them, because not all men are the same. Just like not all women are the same.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there. It's very important for people to know that, like you said, it doesn't just happen to women.
Yeah. And also, sorry, I just wanted to go back to the whole, the whole safety plan and everything. And I'm sure you probably have seen this, but with social media and everything, that signal that they have now, like if you need help and you're in
I think it's something like this.
It's like you go like that or something, or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. I'm all throwing them dang signs.
I didn't even know that.
But no, like there's that one, and then there's the black dot in the middle of the palm too.
Oh,
so there's 2 of them that I'm aware of. But if those listeners out there, if you're in a situation and you feel like you need help or something, that's one of the signals that they're using. And I think there was one lady who used that signal. I don't know if she got kidnapped or she was going through abuse or something, but she did that, and they rescued her. So I have to find the actual story, but
please share it with us.
Too.
Yes,
I remember hearing it. I don't recall the full on details, but I remember hearing it, and I think I heard about the girl that did this or something that has to do with a hand.
Yeah, it's like you put your thumb down or something like that.
Yeah. I can't recall though, but that's very interesting, and us as a public to see that. To kind of always keep eyes out.
Be aware of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's very important.
That's good to know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Please share it with us. Like whenever you guys find it, share it with us so we can see what to look out for. Because honestly, if somebody's going like this to me, I'll be like, oh, hi!
Yeah. Well, I've even heard of female or people calling 911 and acting like they're ordering a pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that one as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
which I'm like,
pizza, you got to give an address.
The only sucky thing is how do you know that the guy the guy doesn't know that that's actually a sign? Like, how do they, because if we're hearing about it, then they're hearing about it.
They're probably just going to hang up on them and,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's all these different ways of getting that across. So, if you're ever in a situation, you need to use it.
And another thing I just kind of wanted to point out is that pretty much telling anybody who's listening, don't stay for the kids. Leave because of the kids. That's the one thing that I regret like crazy, just because because of that, here I am without my boys.
If anything, leave for the kids.
Yeah, leave for the kids. Yeah. And leave with them, and just figure it out later on. They might be pissed at you or whatever, but you did it. You left with them, and they get help right in the spot, through therapy. Even if you end up in a shelter, it does not matter. There's going to be help no matter where you go. Just don't stay for the kids. That's, I am where I am for staying you know.
You're doing more damage than you are good.
Exactly. And a lot of damage to them. I mean, look now, I mean, my fear is, yes, I have to wait up until they open up their eyes, but what if one, you know, they end up in a relationship and they end up doing that, and whether it's they learn to be abusive like their father, or they learn to just take it like I did.
Yeah.
So it's either, you know, either way, and it sucks, you know, but don't stay for the kids, guys.
Oh, that's a good note to end it on, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good note to end it on, because I feel like it's even harder once you have the kids, because, you know, both of you ladies said that, you know, you wanted to have that family unit. You didn't want your kids to grow up without their father. You try so hard to stick it out for them, because as parents, you know, we're not perfect, just like our parents weren't perfect. So sometimes we don't know what we're doing. I wish kids came with instructions.
I told you my mom used to tell me to stay, and I'm like, huh? So
yeah.
Well, I mean, I was there when you were going through it.
Yeah, you were. You saw it all.
I remember our long walks and talks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much, ladies, for coming on and giving us a little bit of update of where you're at.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And for
This was great.
Your platform to kind of get our story across. Like,
Yeah.
No, this is something very important for me.
Yeah. Do you guys want to share your platforms where people can reach out? So that way, if they have any questions or any, now that you have a safe platform, Rosa.
I can post it on here. Like I can add it to the video. So if it's okay with you,
great.
they'll be seeing it right now somewhere in the screen.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that works too. Because a lot of times people are, what? I need a pen to like hear that out and write it down, you know. So.
And I'll also have it in the description box of the podcast.
Yeah. And don't be scared to reach out. Like if you feel like you need to talk to somebody that can relate to what you're going through, like I'm more than open to talking to somebody, and I'm sure Cynthia is as well.
Oh, yes. And I've had a few people reach out and they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for answering my message. I didn't think you were going to reply. Yes, I'm here.
We're not judging anybody, believe me.
Yeah, no.
So, you know, judge-free zone over here.
Yes, judge-free zone platform right here.
There you go.
Yes.
I don't understand what you ladies are went through, but I'm learning not to be judgmental, because I truly I had no idea of any of this. I'm completely ignorant to the situation, but I can sympathize, empathize more than sympathize. I can empathize with what you guys are going through. So thank you so much, ladies. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. So thank you.
This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
The conversation is never over. Please head over to embracingmymarkings.com to learn how you can join the conversation, as well as to learn more about us. Don't forget to follow us on social media to never miss an episode. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Embracing My Markings. We'll see you there.